Hey everybody, Shep, what time is it?
It's my favorite time, Greg.
It's extra time. That's right. Welcome to MLSnet.com's Extra Time. I'm Greg Lawless, my sidekick here, Shep Messing, and we're going to take a look at all the stories that are going on in MLS this week. And our lineup, we're going to start in the East. D.C. United, they're resurging. Looks like they're back. Out West, Houston, last year's champions, they seem to be coming back. Sean Wheelock has a good interview with Jimmy Conrad, one of our favorite characters, and we'll finish up with Shep's final thoughts. So we're going to start today in D.C., where D.C. United, let's be honest, MLS's most historic team. They've won 4 championships over the years. You know, they had a new coach this year. Tommy Sohn comes in for Peter Novak, and they've had a lot of trouble adjusting early on. But these are the Eagles, you know, they've sort of come back, screaming back, if you will, and they seem to have gotten it all back together. They haven't lost in five games now. That's 4 wins, too.
Yeah, Greg, and I have to say, as a New Yorker, and you talked about D.C. United, they are the model franchise in the league. I kind of enjoyed them suffering.
Oh, we all did. I mean, they were just, you know, when they were down, it was like, oh, great, they're finally down. You want that empire, you know?
But I'll tell you what, Tommy Sohn, early in the season, people were already calling for his head. He's done a good job, and here's where I think it started. He went to 4 in the back. Traditionally, D.C. United always played 3 in the back, 5 in the midfield. Their biggest strength was teams would have great difficulty navigating through the midfield. So Sohn went 4 in the back, 4 in the midfield, 2 up top. What he finally got against New York last weekend and last couple of weeks in general, he got great movement off the ball. They're passing the ball like the old D.C. United team. It didn't hurt that a guy named Ben Olsen thought he was Ronaldinho for the day, had a great game, but overall they're playing well.
Yeah, Olsen got a hat-trick in that one. Now, I wonder, though, is there any danger that D.C. and Tommy Sohn will get a little cocky and go back to that 3-5-2, thinking, let's go into the attack a little bit more?
I don't think there's any chance, but I think there is one potential sore spot with that club. You touched upon it several weeks ago. You and I agree, Jaime Moreno, arguably the best player ever to play in Major League Soccer. He's not playing that well. He's been benched 1 game. He was not that active in the game last weekend against New York. So let's keep our eye on Moreno as the season progresses.
Well, Moreno certainly knows how to score goals. And out west, somebody new seems to be scoring goals out west. Joseph Nguyen for the Houston Dynamo has turned it on in the last couple of weeks. And in fact, the Dynamo themselves have turned it on. They have 3 wins in their last 3 games. And honestly, this is a team just like D.C. that just didn't seem to have it coming out of the gates. They came out of the Champions Cup, maybe a little bit tired. I'm not sure I buy that. But you know, they came out of that and they've started to crawl back in, and I think a lot of it's coming from the defense.
Yeah, Greg, I think you're right. And you and I both agree that Dominic Kinnear knows what he's doing. I always thought with Houston, traditionally it starts with the defense because Dominic likes to play a high line. He likes to shorten the field. But they're doing it. They will be doing it during Gold Cup without Brian Ching, Ricardo Clark, De Rosario. So, you know, a little bit of a miracle for me out in Houston going on.
Well, the big question then is how do you fit these guys back into the fold when Ching comes back and Clark comes back and De Rosario, when they all come back? How do you fold them back in to this team that's starting to gel a little bit?
Well, that's a great point, and I'll tell you what, I would fit back Brian Ching, Ricardo Clark, and I'd trade De Rosario.
You trade De Rosario?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Well, what do you need for him?
Well, you need anybody who's not going to, you know, cry and complain about his contract. You need a team guy. I think with Ching there and the way they're playing in the midfield right now, you could get a more useful guy than De Rosario.
Well, you heard it there. De Rosario may be on the block out in Houston. Now, a player that's certainly never on the block out in Kansas City, Jimmy Conrad. Our boy Wheels caught up with him.
Jimmy, I think everybody around Major League Soccer is talking about the start of the Kansas City Wizards. You're not surprised, though, about this great start, are you?
No, not at all. I think if you look at our players or our roster on paper, you know, I think it's almost to be expected. I just think the last couple of years we've underachieved, and you know, we've missed, you know, a lot of guys either due to the national team or injuries or whatever it may be, and just didn't really have the consistency in the lineup.
Your first choice U.S. international, you're not at the Gold Cup because of, I don't know, 50, 60, 80 injuries right now. Just talk about your status. It was the jaw first, now it's the hamstring. Where are you in terms of club, and then what about for the U.S. at the Copa America?
Yeah, I mean, start with the Gold Cup. You know, initially we thought my jaw was broken, so I talked to Bob a little bit just about, you know, my role within the team and with this summer and the tournaments. But, you know, then I came back, got some good news about that, and then came back and did my hamstring a little bit. And I couldn't give him a timetable, and I think he'd already started looking for different options once I had the jaw thing. So once the hamstring thing came up, you know, it just kind of made sense to just kind of go on with what he was going to do anyways. And now I just got to get healthy, and if I am and ready to go and playing sharp, then I should be part of the Copa.
Thanks, Sean. Jimmy Conrad, one of our favorite characters in the league. He wasn't brought in by Bob Bradley for the U.S. national team in the Gold Cup. However, the Gold Cup is going on this week, and it's bringing a lot of excitement around, and it has a little bit of relevance to MLS right now. Shep has some final thoughts for us.
I do. I was at Giant Stadium last weekend, 68,000 people, Mexico, Honduras, everything we want out of the game of soccer. But Blanco, who's on his way to Chicago, got a red card, got thrown out of the game. Chicago, they've been struggling. I'm not sure that Blanco is going to be their savior. If they're looking for a savior, how about looking at Peter Novak to come in and run their soccer operation?
Well, that would be a big change in Chicago. Peter Novak, obviously a legend out there. If you have some thoughts on Shep's final thoughts or on the shirt he chose to wear today, you can email us at extratime@mlsnet.com. And that, sadly, is all we have for the week. Shep and I will be back next week. Join us here and we'll kick it around again.